Well, you've never lived, Barry. You never thought. Grant, I think it's safe to say that he won't be out there this weekend. It's kind of one of those that is we don't think to be season ending, but there's got to be a decision, and we're just getting information to kind of assess that. And there are some potentials for some flexes for sure.
Is there healthy enough just to put it in the equation?
He is healthy enough, and we are accounting for him in the equation.
Does Raheem Mostert look ready to go? And Tehran told us he was. So would you confirm that?
Raheem?
Raheem and Tehran.
No. So Tehran said that Raheem was playing?
No, Tehran said he would.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, Tehran. That's aggressive. Confirm Tehran's playing. And I would say we're still we'll see with Raheem, but I'm an optimistic person, and so I would say I'd be pessimistic that he'd play, which is telling, but I can't rule it out.
Mike, I want to ask you about a weird situation that happened last week with the Giants. They lose their kicker early in the game and have to go to their punter and then try 2-point conversions. Doesn't work out. What kind of contingency plans do you guys have in scenarios like that?
Well, there's the one of the absolute strengths of Coach Crossman is making sure that there's no stone unturned. So there's we have reps that back up everything and contingency plans for not only who's kicking the ball, who's punting the ball, who's snapping the ball, who's holding. All of those intricacies you figure out early in OTAs, like who's up for the challenge or who has some history or and then you kind of narrow it down as you go so that you can, because you can't practice it every week, except at least with the team, but you can practice your individual skill sets and have that ready. But I think that what's also fortuitous for us is the leg talent of both our punter and kicker, because they have the ability to do the either's job should the unforeseen happen. So football is funny that way. You don't want to be overly concerned with the out of nowhere 1 percentile. However, it is part of our responsibility to have stuff in place, and we do that across the board, including in games where there's 2 quarterbacks. What happens if those guys aren't in? That one I'll keep tight to the vest because there's a pretty exciting football package behind the second quarterback generally, and but you have to assess everything that way because it's kind of our job.
Just curiosity, if Bailey ended up kicking in a scenario like this, who ends up holding? Because I know that used to be a quarterback's job. It's a little different.
No, we have there's a couple holders on our team that have experience. There's I think I'm pretty sure River Craycraft did in a game at one point. He's been at one point. We've our Swiss Army knife. Alec Ingold has pretty much done every job. So is Durham Smythe. So we have contingencies on the contingencies. So we have a lot of depth at holder.
Mike, a question about everybody doing their 1/11th. With Skylar out, I'm sure that there's a temptation for some of them to do a little bit more, especially the guys who got contract extensions or restructured. Mm-hmm. Do you have to talk to them about, just chill out and the game will come to you, or how do you handle that?
Well, I think, this team in particular, really follows through with the hope you have as a coach, where anytime anyone, goes down, especially, a gigantic contributor and or the starting quarterback, the mindset is not to do anything but uplift the team by doing whatever has to be done and doing that collectively. So, I think, I would be disappointed if I was on a team that wasn't like that. Since I've been here, all of our teams have really took it as a rallying cry for the whole team to come together and understand that it's strength in numbers, that it's not no one person, on this team, has to do everything, and the idea that you're finding ways to evolve, to try to do whatever it takes in scenarios as a team to win a game. I think there's this team. We're cool with statistical whatever. That's not, and I think the whole team is like in a spot where no one. Yes, you want to do right for your team and you want to do well for your team, but we've also been number one in the league in categories, and I think guys are over that. We want to win a game, and that challenge and what it takes as a team to go ahead every week and next man up whatever position. That's something that on the heels of having a tremendous disappointment in a divisional game, we have all the incentive we need, and then some, to go and have a team win. So I think where the team's at and our goals and what we value and what's important today. This team needs to feel victory together. They want it, and that's all they're really going to be consumed about. And I'm not really worried about anything else.
The one player. How's Washington looked in his first week back at practice, and is he ready to go?
No, it's he's done a good job. I feel pretty good about his progress. I'm not sure. That's one that we have a high opinion. Malik has done such a good job being a pro, and we know we can count on him. So we're making sure that we're not going to put him in harm's way. He's done some good things this week, so we're just kind of measuring the risk reward because he's trending the right way, and if he's either playing under the expectation that we're not going to risk anything, or he just missed the op by maybe a day or so, in which case that I'll be pretty confident next week. So however it plays out, happy the fact that he hasn't regressed during the week, and that he's he is. You want to talk about attacking? There's a lot of guys that we talk about that really do everything to get back on the field, and you have a rookie that however you proportion it, whether it's just his internal motivation or watching his professional peers and his veterans, how they go about doing that type of stuff, and how many players we have that will do anything and everything to be on the field on Sunday. Whoever's responsible for it, we have a professional Malik Washington operating like a savvy vet in terms of how he's taking care of his body and how he's pushing to get on the field because he wants to help us win football games.
Proof that brilliant minds think alike, or pure coincidence.
Oh wow! Oh man, that was not
pure coincidence.
No, when you lost the op to ask the question, your face didn't read that you guys were on the same page.
we're on the same page because.
Okay.
I started getting the name out, and then I think you paused. So
You mentioned last year's offensive success. With that, and then the offensive weapons that you have, there's a popular adage among Dolphins fans that really anybody can step in and run this offense. As an offensive coach, or coach, I guess, but who leans offensively, I guess. How does that make you feel?
I mean, I kind of get triggered, kind of understand, like, to say that anybody could, then we would have open tryouts, and that would be very, very salary cap friendly. I think just because the people that end up, being at the helm of the offense end up having productivity, I think you can't. I think the way that Tua plays the position is very unique, and that's always triggered me when the people have said anybody can. And then, I think Skylar isn't anybody. He's someone that's diligently worked behind the scenes and right next to Tua for this going on his third year, and his ability to execute anything within the system is to his credit, and we try to do a good job matching what players' talents are to our talents as a football team, and in that we do have some playmakers. A lot of people have playmakers, and how do you best utilize ours? Well, you have to play it in a certain rhythm and timing that you can only do if you can see defense. And that's a very, very important stipulation, is you are throwing to offensive players, and not everyone, even at the NFL level, is capable of seeing defense and throwing to the holes in it, as opposed to just staring at the offensive eligible and throwing it to them. In a league that is very pass defensive oriented, with a lot of quarterback vision and quarterback intentions by defenders in their zones, reading and melting towards the vision of the quarterback, it's becoming more and more of a necessary skill set that not everybody has, and the only way that we're able to get our guys the ball and not just have catch tackles is Tua's ability, and then Skylar shares an ability in a similar way of being able to anticipate and play with timing and throw guys open so they can catch and run. I would say from my vantage point, being in the offense for 20 years, that the statement that anybody can run it is false. But what do I know?
Given the injury to Tua, and now where you are with Skylar and inexperienced backups behind him, do you tell your quarterbacks to be a little bit safer with scrambling, sliding, saving their body, even if it means giving up the line to gain? And does that even apply to Tua when he comes back?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate competitive spirit and fighting for every yard, but I don't coach quarterbacks to try to run over defenders. However, you try to play a competitive sport where people are trying to do some to tackle you with vigor, and sometimes competitiveness takes over. I don't really judge that as much as I try to have lessons learned and be able to articulate, okay, well, what can you do in the future? I'm not adjusting. I have the same philosophy. It's, well, in this situation, maybe identifying the yard line and running to space or sliding. That's how I kind of coach. And I think Skylar, every quarterback, you're trying to make them play within the guidelines of the play. You're not over, and you're trying to dictate the terms with your play calls, and then you just keep coaching and coaching and coaching through situations so that guys can, when the moment strikes, that they can make effective decisions that are very decisive. So I think that is kind of the balance in football in general. It's a very physical sport that there's inherent risk of injury, and everybody that plays it knows that. And so you try to, within those guidelines of football, try to empower them with the ability and the tools to best stay on the field. So I don't really adjust. I think that would assume that, like, I was kind of laissez-faire until something happened. That's not the case. You're more using every single situation as a learning experience, as a lesson, and I don't think anything but explaining and talking and coaching through that stuff. You have to do that, otherwise it's just simply a scar, and there's too many variables in football for you to try to live by the result of something else. You just have to understand, grow, and get better.
How are you guys feeling about where Jalen Wright is? His comfort level in this offense at this point in the season.
I'm proud of Jalen because it was a drastic change from a schematic standpoint, and in terms of what we asked our backs to do, and how detailed we are with, or really, Eric Stoodsville does a great job of being very detailed in tracks and assignments, and if you don't attack those and learn it the right way, you can't grow in the offense. What I've seen Jalen do is he's every week, every day becoming more and more of a pro. It's kind of in a fashion similar to rookie Devon last year, where if you just diligently chop wood each and every week, you could, every timeline's different, but one thing that is similar is that, I think the first game of the season last year, Devon wasn't active, and Jalen knows that, and so you work and work and work to get yourself active, and then you're active and you're on the field and get more touches, and you just try to contribute in any way, shape, or form. I think that the running back room that we have is as good as I've been around. So that competitiveness and that diligence from the whole group really, I think every single player in the running back room has gotten better since last year, since OTAs, and since the beginning of training camp. And I think that's a collective gain that they all know. Each one of their successes, and the better each one of them are, the more they push each other, and overall how much better they can each individually be as the group continues to grow.